Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The bizarro world that is heavyweight boxing has added another gem to the treasure trove, with promoter Ricky Hatton announcing via Twitter his fighter Lucas Browne would be passing on the chance to fight Dillian Whyte on the Anthony Joshua-Kubrat Pulev undercard. There's an old saying in communications and political circles that when you're explaining, you're losing. So keep that in mind with this tale, and I hope you are strapped in, because let's go. If you've been following this channel in recent days, you know that I've been covering the Lucas Browne-Dillian Whyte Twitter saga, with both of them saying they wanted to fight each other and for their promoters to set that up. So it was all good, right? It sounded like we were headed in the right direction. We'd end up with a decent rumble. But with a poetic sense of irony, what started on Twitter was killed on Twitter in a series of tweets by Browne's promoter Ricky Hatton. See the one on screen here. So he says, "It's not about me, it's about doing what's right for my fighter. Twitter doesn't actually write checks. Not going to say any more on here." He also had a little note that he'd written with the tweet which says, "Just want to nip this one in the bud. On Saturday I noticed it on Twitter that an offer had allegedly been made regarding Lucas Browne. I received an offer from Eddie Hearn. I had not received anything to that point. I am grateful to Eddie for the offer, but I have discussed this at length with Lucas, and at this moment we are agreed that we both have different views on what it would take to make that fight. Eddie values it at considerably less than the Chisora fight, and no disrespect to Eddie, I have a different view. Derek vs. Dillian was the fight of the night last time, and this would be no different. We were already working on fight options for Lucas and will continue to work on our plans to get him back to holding the world title belt again. It may be that this fight is one that can be made down the line. Certainly there is no love lost there, Ricky." Clearly this was about money. That's probably the long and the short of it. Hatton thought he was getting lowballed by Eddie and could get a better deal elsewhere. But actually that wasn't the end of it. So see this tweet on here. So Eddie is a nice guy. He's trying to make money for himself, his fighter. Let's not pretend he is making the offer out of the goodness of his heart. And Hatton has a good point. Hearn will be in it for himself for the most part. But I'll just keep my powder dry until the end. So the next tweet, because there were more. "I wish I knew as much about boxing as all these people on Twitter messaging me." Clearly, a lot of fans were not happy that this fight, which would have been a good one, wasn't going to happen. So he's already doing a lot of explaining here, and there's one more. Last one. "Then I'm logging off for the football. The more everyone screams what a great fight this is, the more you make my point. Eddie is trying to make an elite level heavyweight fight at 6 weeks notice in front of 80,000 people on pay-per-view. 6 weeks notice is nothing for a fight card of this nature. I was here 6 weeks ago and no one was talking to me. As I say, I like Eddie, he's a good guy, but he also knows what he's doing in this game. We will do what's right for our fighter, not Eddie and not Dillian. Ricky." Okay, I'm sorry, I can't agree with most of what Hatton is saying there. The 6 weeks training to prepare for a fight, that's a fair call. And actually, Eddie Hearn is developing a reputation for trying to crib every little advantage he can, like shortchanging fighters on the build-up. But the flip side to that is actually Lucas Browne has been busting a gut in the gym and posting all sorts of things on social media about staying prepared. Remember, he wanted this fight. He said, "Bring it on, let's make this fight, let's get it done." So clearly, the short time wasn't at the forefront of his mind, at least when he was on Twitter. But clearly the money was. We don't know what the offer was, but clearly it was low enough for them to turn their back on being part of the second biggest heavyweight event of the year. The first being Vladimir Klitschko versus Anthony Joshua, and this one being the second. It would have also represented the most exposure Lucas Browne had ever got. Let's not kid ourselves about that. It would have been the fight of his life. And I don't mean to disrespect the Chigaev fight, but in terms of hype, exposure, and the opportunities that would have lay ahead should he got the victory, this was a can't-miss slam-dunk opportunity. The other day, Eddie Hearns spoke about the offer having been made, and that he would have thought, given the drug testing issues Brown has had, that Brown would be snapping his hand off to agree to the fight. And at the time I thought, yeah, you would think so. But apparently not. There is no bigger stage, no bigger fight that Brown can have in the immediate future. This is a missed opportunity. Often in boxing, it's about timing. It's about taking the opportunities when they come along. I'm not sure that Brown, who is 38, will be presented with such a plum opportunity or a bigger one at any point in his career now. Ultimately deciding to forego a smaller payday now, well, that could have led to a bigger one later on. It could be something that they will regret. At least they would have had a payday, right? Because right now, Brown is on the outside looking in, heading back to the gym. Not heading for the bank with a check. It's a shame. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, hit like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.